the caliphate is the Sunni version of what the state is supposed to be for this ummah. And the caliphate is not what the Shias agree with. So my understanding, if you could correct me if I'm wrong about this, the way I would word it is that for the ummah, the head of the ummah for the Shias are the imamat, the head of the ummah for the Sunnis are the caliphate. So you have the ummah, and something needs to rule over this. And for Sunnis, what needs to rule over the ummah is the caliphate, and for the Shias, it's the imamate. The concept of the ummah is the same thing, but they disagree on what's supposed to be ruling over it. Is that a fair summary? Just like before I go to the next part.
Let me clarify it a bit more. What I'm saying that there is in the considering ummah as a block, you need a software and you need a hardware. The hardware is to create Islamic State. The software is the idea of unifying all Muslims around the world. Here comes the question that whether two questions. We have to address two questions. Whether that is possible at all, whether that is possible at all to unify all the Muslims under one umbrella. This is one question. The second question is if we were able to unify all the Muslims under one umbrella, the question is who is the leader for this quite huge, tremendous body? $1.6 billion. You are touching the second question. Let's go first by
but last comment I'm going to highlight, and then I'm going to let you do your thing. But just this last comment, so because somebody is getting way ahead of themselves, right? Somebody in the comments saying totally disagree with the guest. Sunnis don't think Shias to be part of the ummah, so this Iran regime ambition of global ummah is very unrealistic, won't happen. Well, that's what we're going to talk about. This is exactly the problem that because the government in Iran, the Islamic Republic in Iran, their ambition is for them to be the head of this Islamic Ummah. Their problem is that they're Shia and most of Islamic world is Sunni. And I share your view that this seems an impossible task. It's not, but it's not something that they're not trying. We're not agreeing with how possible this is. We're just discussing what they're trying to do. And by the way, it might seem a little bit less unrealistic when we discuss their methodology. And this is the main barrier for the Islamic Republic of Iran. The fact that they're Shia and most of the Islamic world is Sunni is their main barrier to become the leader of the Islamic world. And guess what? This is why the issue of Israel and Palestine becomes so important for the mullahs in Iran. We will discuss how they're using the Palestinian cause and the suffering of Palestinians is being used by the Islamic Republic of Iran is exactly to overcome this barrier that you're highlighting here. So we will get to it. Just be patient. But anyways, sorry for constantly interrupting you. Please go ahead.
So so far, I'll try to explain that the whole book is about giving a new denotation for the concept of the ummah. What is that? Muslim bloc, 2 words, only 2 words, that's all. So what is the bloc? I've said that the bloc means that during like the Cold War bipolar system, Eastern Bloc and Western Bloc. So in this concept in this dichotomy, there is a fight between the two blocks. Now comes the question whether at all it is possible to recreate the ummah under one umbrella. We have to address this question. My clear answer to that is negative. Absolutely, this is not possible. Why not possible, Armin? So the question is why we cannot? Because in the concept of the one block, they are against any border and boundaries. Look, when you say one single block, that means the territorial integrity here is Iran, here is Iraq, here is Jordan, here is Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Palestine, Lebanon, Northern. All these borders should be removed. What does that mean? That means that the world, the international world we are living in today is based on Westphalia Agreement. What is the Westphalia Agreement? It was an agreement that after too many years of war in Europe in 1648, the world community back then in 1648 became to understand that we can have our territory based on nation-state borders. So since then, almost for 500 years, the world we live today is based on borders which are created between the countries, between the states, based on what? Based on nation state of Westphalia. All right. So 500 years. When today you are claiming that we want to create one single ummah, that means that you wanted to remove all these borders between, at least between 55 states of Muslim states. There are 55 Muslim states in the ICC, Islamic Cooperation Conference, Islamic Cooperation Conference, ICC. There are 55 countries that they believe in their borders. Egypt is a secular country. Tunisia is a secular country. Libya is a secular country. And two other many countries. Only you can find one single Iran, I mean, under the Islamic Republic, which is believing that it is not secular. All the other secular. So all they stick to the borders. So first of all, sorry for 10 seconds. The impossibility of the creating of Ummah goes to the idea of you have to fight Westphalia, number one. So the creation of the one single Ummah is impossible. Then comes the second question that, okay, if in case that it was created, then who is the leader? Here is your second question. Who could be the second question? Your one of the audience has given a very good explanation. Look, 1.6 billion Muslims around the world. 10% of them are Shia. Only 10%. Majority of them in Iran, part of them in Iraq, Lebanon, and Bahrain. And most of the other countries are a majority of Sunnis. How you can claim that I want to be the leader, as you hear in Iran, they call Khomeini the leader of the Ummah, right? Armin, they call it the leader of Muslim Ummah. Okay, if you are the leader of the Muslim Ummah, you're Shia. How, as a Shia, 10%, you wanna rule a society or a community of 90% who are belonging to the Sunni denomination? So this is another impossibility, another fact for impossibility of the creating of Muslim Ummah. I hope that I could answer the question you raised before from one of your audience.
I wanted to get to start with Hassan Banna, start getting into the history of it after I say this. But I just want to explain to people what just happened. So we have the concept of a nation state, which is a modern concept. It was invented, during World War I. It was implemented, and it was created. The idea of it comes from the Age of Enlightenment thinkers, and eventually, slowly, it evolved, and it was implemented mostly after World War I, and eventually with the United Nations, and after World War II, and all of that. But this is a Western concept now, and a framework that now the entire world it has accepted as a framework that every you can see every country is submitting to that framework. And this is something that if you have an Islamic mindset, you cannot accept, because it's being you are the way that you're defining Egypt, the way that you're defining Bangladesh, the way that you're defining Saudi Arabia comes from this world liberal order that is completely un-Islamic, that doesn't come from the Quran, that doesn't come from God, doesn't come from Muhammad, and now you're governing your country and your politics based on this Western liberal framework. So the goal is eventually to change this world liberal order with a world Islamic order. Like, why should we play this game based on the rules that you have set, Western powers have set for the world? This is an actual insult. Like, ever since the caliphate was removed from the Islamic world by Ataturk, this has been a period of humiliation for Sunni Islam, because Sunni Islam was used to having a caliphate that the Islamic world was under, and now it's gone, and now all these Islamic countries are basically playing within the framework that has been invented by Western countries. So when you say Egypt or these other countries are secular, I don't think the concept of the secular that you're talking about is not what we talk about usually on this channel, because we're not talking secular in the sense that religion is not involved in politics. Because religion, even in Egypt or in all these other countries, is involved in politics. When we're talking about a different concept. When we say secular here, we're talking about the framework, like the fact that these countries have parliaments, the fact that they have a president or a prime minister. These concepts, the fact that they have elections. Like, we have all of these frameworks, and these are not Islamic frameworks. These are not the politics of these countries are completely based on foreign inventions. Like, this is why even in Iran, where we still have fake elections and fake parliaments, this is something that Khomeini is against. Like, we have in Iran, it's called an Islamic Republic. And ever since the revolution, the republic part is something that they're trying to completely remove eventually and just make it fully Islamic, because republic again is a Western. The republic part is Western. So this is what you're talking about secular, because Egypt is not trying to, as much as Islam we have in Egypt or these other countries, they're not trying to destroy the concept of a nation state. Like Saudi Arabia is not trying to destroy the concept of a nation state. Like Egypt and Saudi Arabia, they might be Islamic countries, but they want to defend their borders. They want to defend the concept of a nation state. They want to play within this framework that has been set by this Western world liberal order. They want to play within that framework. However, the Islamic Republic of Iran, they actually want to destroy all countries, including Iran. This is why a lot of Iranians try to explain that the government in Iran is anti-Iranian. But the reason why they're anti-Iran, because they're anti-every nation state, including the nation state that they're in. The Islamic Revolution. A lot of people have this misunderstanding that the Islamic Revolution of 1979 in Iran was an Iranian revolution. It wasn't an Iranian revolution. It was an anti-Iranian revolution, because they don't believe in nationalism. They don't believe in the nation state. They believe in the Islamic Ummah, and Iran is being used as a tool to destroy nation states, including Iran, and basically bring this Islamic Ummah with the Shia Imamate as its rule. Like, the Sunnis are trying to have a caliphate, but the mullahs in Iran are trying to have them rule over this Islamic Ummah that they bring into the world. So the reason why we're saying that there's a global plot against nation states, this is not an exaggeration. This is actually it's in their books. They explain this. This is why Khomeini was anti-nationalist. This is why Khomeini didn't like to be pro-Iran. This is why Khomeini, when he was coming back from his exile to Iran, when they asked him if he's excited, what are his feelings to go back to Iran, He said, I feel nothing. He said, I have no feeling. Like he hated nationalism. He hated people celebrating Iran, because for him, this was not about Iran. He always said that people who say Iran, Iran, they are the enemies of Islam, because for him, it was Islam that mattered, not Iran. And this is why IRGC, which is the most important military wing in Iran right now, it doesn't even have Iran mentioned in what it's supposed to defend. They are trying to export the revolution. The army, the IRGC in Iran, or Sepah Pasaran, their mission is to defend Islam and spread the Islamic revolution outside of Iranian borders, because they don't even recognize their own borders. They don't. All of these borders are Western concept that they're against. Anyways, we're gonna go more into that detail. But again, did everything I said, was that a good explanation or understanding of what you said, or was there anything that you need to correct?
Yeah, you correctly. I mean, you correctly touched it, but I want to add to that something else. Look, when I talked about the impossibility of creation or recreation or reconstruction of the Ummah, I said the idea of one single entity named Ummah is impossible because it's against the Westphalia nation-state borders. This is number one. Number two, we have to bring into consideration the definition, the difference between two concepts. You have to differentiate between these two concepts. One can call himself a Muslim. Look, one can call himself a Muslim country, but not Islamic country. What is the difference between these two? In Saudi Arabia, they call them, we are a Muslim country. What does that mean? It means that in a specific territorial land, a group of Muslims are living together. So it is a land belonging to Muslims. So this is a Muslim country. It is not Christian country. It's not Jewish country. It is not Buddhist country. But they never call themselves as an Islamic country. Here's the difference, because whenever you say the Islamic country, it means that you have to bring the implication of the Sharia as a law, as a rule in ruling the system. For example, if you go to Egypt, you'll see that even during the Ramadan, the fasting month of Ramadan, I've seen it by my own eyes. Even whoever was fasting during the day on the time of breaking his fasting, which is called Maghrib, the sunset. I've seen that they are Muslims. They prayed, they practice their fasting, but they go to a belly dance ceremony. To belly dance, a belly dance lady is dancing there, or even sometimes they are drinking alcohol after fasting Ramadan. You see, this means that to them, if you ask them whether you are Muslim, yeah, he says, I'm not Muslim, I'm not Jewish, I'm not Christian, I'm not Buddhist, I'm not Baha'i. I'm Muslim. I'm a Muslim, but if you ask them whether this country is governed by Islamic Sharia, they say no, because according to Islamic Sharia, you don't have right to drink alcohol in the public. You don't have a lady doesn't have right to dance.
Yeah, so we get that. I want to make sure we get into start actually talking about the history pretty soon. So yeah, I get the point from the difference between a Muslim country and an Islamic country, and a true Islamic country is expansionist, is trying to become is trying to establish the Ummah. It would be actually against its own nation state. So I think now let's go to where this all started. Like, let's go to Hassan Banna and explain, like, bring his history, and then go from that to Qutb and especially his travel to United States, because it was Qutb that made these ideas popular and spread all over the world. And I think it was ignited by his travel to America and his experience there, and how much he hated United States and his experience in United States. So all of that story would be very interesting to touch on. So let's go from there.
Okay, it is a very, very much a crucial question you raised. What all this story started from? How this story of Islamism or pan-Islamism or Islamic movements originated from. So we have to review the history. So we discussed that after the Prophet of Islam, Muslim society divided into the denominations. The first, the majority of were Sunnis, believing in the caliphate, and a minority believing in imamate. So what is the difference between caliphate and imamate? I will touch it later on when you raise the question. Please don't forget to ask me the question about the difference between caliphate and imamate. However, what is important, the Shia didn't have any country ruling under the imamate. All these 14 centuries, Shia couldn't be able to establish its Shia-run Islamic Shia state. But Sunnis were able. Sunnis were able. There were Umayyad Caliphate. There were Abbasid Caliphate. There were Fatimid Caliphate in Egypt, and last one was the Ottoman Caliphate. You know all this. So this is the map of the Ottoman Caliphate in 1566. You see how big and how it was in its greatest extent in the 16th century. But what happened to these very huge territories? What happened? Here is the beginning of the First World War, 1914. The Ottoman Caliphate of Ottoman Caliphate has lost a lot of the territories in Europe and in the northern part of the Africa. So what is left for the Ottomans, Ottoman Turks, was this part. I mean, Turkey today, and area which we know under the name of the Iraq, Jordan, Syria, Palestine, Saudi Arabia, and so on and so forth. But what happened after the First World War, Armin? This is what happened. That big, huge territories of the Ottoman Caliphate turned to this very small part, which is half of Iran today. Some 80, half of the Iran. I don't remember its kilometer, how big it is. But not only they lost the territory, but also they lost the ruling system of Islam. What was the ruling system of Islam back then? It was the caliphate system. Remember that for Sunnis, soon after the death of Muhammad, they had one person as the leader of the Muslims. So what they feel today is like that, to consider, to see themselves, to view themselves as a body without a head. I repeat again, to consider yourself as a body without the head. What is that head? Is the caliphate. In Turkey today, first they lost a very tremendous and huge territories, and second, in 1924, Ataturk dismantled the caliphate system in New Turkey and in Islamic world, all over of Islamic world. So since almost, let's say 100 years ago, So we are in 2024. In 1924, he mantled, exactly 100 years ago, he dismantled the caliphate system. So what happened, what perception happened for Muslims? As I've said, they consider themselves as a body with no head. So what was the reaction? Here is the reaction. The reaction is that from this moment, from this moment, these people, these 8 people, these individuals, thinkers, Muslim thinkers and Muslim figures, they started to think about how to rebuild the Muslim caliphate. Again, we are talking about the Sunni Islam, not Shia Islam. Beginning from Jamaluddin Asadabadi and his students, Rashid Reza and Abdo and Kawakibi, and lasting to this very important person. Who is he? He is Hassan al-Banna. Hassan al-Banna. What did he do to
Before
create?
we,
To
before we get to
so let me
Banna, okay, you go ahead.
let me finish it here. Yeah, to recreate a Muslim ummah under new caliphate, he brought the idea of bringing the caliphate to the life again. So he in 1928, just 4 years after dismantling of the Caliphate Institute, Hassan al-Banna has formed and shaped the party of Muslim Brotherhood. You have heard a lot about the Muslim Brotherhood, but he was assassinated. He was very soon assassinated. After him, this man, the second one, Sayyid Qutb, became the toppest, the toppest ever, toppest ever figure in the Islamic world, no matter Shia or Sunni, who gave a very theoretical, written theoretical framework for Islam not to be a piety, but to be a polity. Again, to Islam not to be a piety and praying and practicing your religious duty. No, to be a polity, politics, to go and to look for gaining a power, political power. And as you know, he was assassinated by, he was hanged by Jamaluddin Asadabadi. Of course, there are 2 other people like this one, Abu Ala Maududi and Nabhani. Also, this the third one, Abu Ala Maududi. He was before Muslim Brotherhood. He created a party. His party's name was Caliphate Movement. Caliphate Movement. But it didn't last too much, for just 5 years. It was gone. But after Caliphate Movement, this person, Muslim Brotherhood founder, Hassan al-Banna came, and after Hassan al-Banna and Muslim Brotherhood, this fourth person, this is Al-Nabhani, Muhammad Taqi al-Nabhani, the founder of Islamic Hizb ut-Tahrir. So altogether, here you can, I summarized it by bringing the logo. This first one left is the Caliphate Movement. The second one is Muslim Brotherhood, whose logo. The third one is Hizb ut-Tahrir's logo. And the fourth one is the new one that you remember, just was formed in 2014. Who is this? What is this? This is the logo of Daesh or ISIS or ISIL. This is the logo of the caliphate formed under the al-Baghdadi. And as you remember, he is assassinated by the United States. So I stop here to question to me.
No, I just want to make it simplified for people so they could remember what's happening. So before this movement, the movement that we're talking about that just started, because the logos you're saying, some of them are Muslim Brotherhood, some of them the Muslim Brotherhood ideology that was spread, eventually a lot of other things came out of it that are not Muslim Brotherhood themselves, like for example ISIS or the Islamic Republic of Iran. Even though they're not Muslim Brotherhood, the Muslim Brotherhood movement led to those ideology. Like it evolved into other things that are not Muslim Brotherhood themselves, and we will show the connection, especially of the the Islamic Republic of Iran's ideology. Even though that's Shia, Muslim Brotherhood is Sunni, we will connect it to Muslim Brotherhood and show how that happened, how they were influenced by it. But before Muslim Brotherhood started, and the main two figure, I think people should, because there's so many names here, I just want people to just focus on Hassan Banna and Sayyid Qutb. Those are the main two people that the Hassan Banna with regarding the person who started it, and Sayyid Qutb with the name who popularized it, the person that his book became basically kind of like gospel. His books was read, even people who are not Sunni, even people who don't believe in Muslim Brotherhood, if you are into Islamic thought, it's the Sayyid Qutb books that everybody ended up reading. It was Sayyid Qutb's book that managed to spread this ideology all over the Islamic world. This man is the man who popularized all of this, right? And everyone from Khomeini to Khamenei to Navabi Safavi or all of these people read his books or somehow influenced by it. But what led to, correct me if I'm wrong here, what led to the Muslim Brotherhood eventually becoming popular was the three humiliations, the three insults to the Islamic world, and a desperate attempt to overcome these humiliations, right? And the first one was the abolishment of the caliphate. Well, actually, it's not the first one, but I'm just going to mention